How Abaribe, Tambuwal orders staged walkout over Senate's approval of emergency rule in Rivers. Welcome to Sino Media. If you are joining us for the first time, please subscribe to our channel, like, comment, and share our videos. Also put on your notification button to get our updates. The Senate on Thursday experienced a mild drama during its session to approve the state of emergency declared in Rivers State by President Bola Tinubu. Politics Nigeria learned that a few senators, notably Aminu Tambuwal, Eyinaya Abaribe, expressed their disagreement with the emergency declaration, particularly the suspension of elected officials, which they argued was unconstitutional. Despite their objections, the Senate overwhelmingly backed the president's move, shutting down an open debate on the matter. Speaking on the matter, Dixon said, "Today at the sitting of the Senate, the issue of the president's proclamation of a state of emergency in Rivers State came up for discussion, and as I have stated repeatedly, I raised my objections in the closed session on how the declaration fell short of constitutional prescription based on my view as a Democrat sworn to uphold the Nigerian Constitution. The Senate did not undertake the debate in an open session. However, it was quite robust. I want to thank Senator Aminu Waziri Tambuwal for his strong support of the unconstitutionality of the declaration, especially the aspect that deals with the suspension of the elected officials of the Rivers State government. At the end of the day, majority of the senators supported the proclamation as no room was given for an open debate at plenary. I left the plenary before the Senate president was directed to report the outcome because I didn't want to be present while what I opposed is being reported. I believe Senator Tambuwal, Senator Abaribe, and others equally left too. I want to make it clear that, as I stated repeatedly, I spoke and voted against the proclamation in our closed session, supported by Senator Aminu Tambuwal and a few other senators who were not recognized to speak. And so I want to thank all the senators who shared the view that I vigorously canvassed. I am, however, aware of the efforts made to modify the declaration as a result of the concerns and views we have expressed and canvassed the past few days. Though I acknowledge the effort being made by the leadership and president to moderate the terms of the declaration and to create a mechanism for oversight, theoretically, this does not counter the primary issue of constitutionality. The beauty of democracy is such that the minority will have their say, while the majority their way. I would have wished for a more robust and open debate so that all views and opinions can be openly canvassed, as I requested even at the closed session specifically and thereafter. The majority can have their way, but as it is, both chambers have decided, and the ball is now on the court of the other arms of government, especially the judiciary, in the event of any challenge. It's all right. Senator Dixon has given an insight into what transpired in the closed session of the assembly. I think it is evident that a few senators as mentioned in the report, were not in support. But that did not stop the Senate from validating the position of the president on the declaration. I think that is why in the recent past, the doctrine of necessity, was introduced into the legislative chamber. There are some things that may not be right, but it becomes appropriate to do them to stave off bigger problems. And I think this declaration by Ahmed Bola Tinubu falls into that category. He declared and swore in the administrator before even, formalizing it at the Senate and House of Reps. So if the motion did not sail through, that would have thrown the country into a bigger problem. It would have projected the president as a despot. So he had to do what he had to do to get this out. And I think Serake Dixon appropriately captured that when he says the minority may have their say, but the majority will have their way. And I think too, there are preemptive measures that can be taken to stave off issues like this. It was not reported that the Senate did anything, when the brouhaha, the noise, were going on in Rivers State. I'm sure if they had done some oversight, it may not have escalated. It is the white man or the Englishman that says a stitch in time will save 9 other stitches. So it is good for our lawmakers and leaders generally to be proactive and not reactive.